Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, lovely people, depending on where you are watching us from in this beautiful world of ours. And this morning, your evening, I have the lovely Nicole Jones with me. And we were just trying to figure out how we actually connected. But the main part for me is that you are here. I'm eating my own hair. There you go. That's better. You are here, and I just really connected with your story. And I know you and I have been waiting for this interview quite some time because I think I had to move you once, at least, if not twice, where I got really sick and I couldn't speak, and I had to miss out on 2 weeks of my podcast and shuffle all my guests. So, ta-da! Here you are.
Yeah,
I'm really, really happy that we finally made this, live interview here. So I would love it for you to introduce yourself to our audience, please. Welcome.
thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And yes, I remember, like you said, I don't remember how we met, but I remember the first conversation. I was like, I wish I lived closer to you so we could hang out. My name is
Love
Ashley.
that.
For those who don't know me, I am a bereaved mom and lost my daughter to a terminal illness. And she died in 2011. And so it's been a little while.
Mm,
And since then, I have started a nonprofit called Momento Foundation, where we help people heal in grief and rebuild after loss. One of the ways we do that is through free portrait sessions. And this is just US based for now. But
mhm,
we offer free portrait sessions to people facing a terminal diagnosis to preserve memories with their loved ones. We
mm,
also have incredible grief resources and tools on our website. And we also have like a community support program as a part of that as well. So this year, I'm actually very excited because I am transitioning out of leadership. So I've been running it for 11 years now, and I am passing it off to a new executive director who is going to take it and run with it and do amazing things. And
And
I
I'm
am
going
going
to
to be
stop
focused.
you right there.
Yeah.
You can't give everything away at the beginning. We're going to get there.
Oh, okay, okay,
leave,
okay.
leave the cliffhanger, leave the cliffhanger. I
Perfect. Okay.
love because I
Stay
love where
tuned.
this is going for you. So I want to completely rewind you and ask you,
Perfect.
maybe we can start with a story about you and your
Yeah.
husband meeting. I like bringing the love stories into it before we go into your entire story. That will get us to the cliffhanger so people know what's to come for you. Tell
I
me how
love
you
it.
met your husband. I always love this story.
Yeah. So my husband and I, we were on college summer break, and we were home in a suburb of Atlanta, Georgia.
Hmm.
And we were going to church, and I was at the church that I had been going to for many, many years. And a
Hmm.
friend of mine from my university, Clemson University, had come to visit me. And he had
Hmm.
asked if we were just friends. And he was like, "Hey, can I check out your church?" And I was like, "Sure, come on."
Hmm.
I was like, "After the service, let me give you a tour."
Hmm.
Well, little did I know that Kyle, who is now my husband, was visiting the church with his friend, David Baker, who
Hmm.
also was giving him a tour. And so after the service, and this is not just a small church, this is like one of the mega churches
Hmm.
in Atlanta with Andy Stanley. But all the, thousands of people are leaving the auditorium. So I'm giving my friend Todd a tour, and David Baker is giving Kyle a tour. And we literally just walked through the hallway and past each other.
I love
And
it.
Todd played frisbee with Kyle and David Baker. And
Yeah.
so he goes, "Kyle, Baker, what are you guys doing here?" And they were like, "Todd, you live in South Carolina. What are you doing here?" And he was like, "Oh, this is my friend Ashley. I'm just visiting. Say hi." We all went to Clemson. And so we ended up having lunch together, the four of us. And actually another friend joined us. So it was five of us at lunch. And I was like, I wonder if these guys are single. So afterwards, I asked for
Hands up.
Kyle's. Yeah, I asked for Kyle's number, and he reluctantly gave it to me. He had just gotten out of a long-term relationship, but we ended up hanging out
Mm,
that summer and started dating when we went back to school.
wow. Wow. So full on college sweethearts, basically. Yeah. That's incredible. Not
Yeah.
that you went to
Yep.
college together, but like from that time onwards, that's amazing. I
Oh, we
love
did.
that when,
Yeah. So
yeah.
we had
Oh,
so
you
many
did go together. Yeah.
overlapping friends. Yeah. Yep.
Wow. Wow. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your life together and then deciding to start a family.
So we dated for 3 years through college. And at the time, it was so funny because we felt like very mature adults and we were like, yeah, let's get married out of school. Like, what's the big deal? Looking back, I'm like, oh my God, we were babies. Like, what, what
Mm,
were we thinking? Um, but we got married, yeah, in the fall after leaving university and ended up making it a year. We celebrated our 1 year anniversary and we literally toasted to no babies because his parents got pregnant with him on their honeymoon. So we were like, we made it a year. This is great,
yay.
you know. Uh,
That's
and
incredible.
and then a couple months later, it was Valentine's Day, and we were like, oops, guess we're gonna be young parents. And yeah, and so our due date was November 15th. And we were like, okay, like here we go. And
Mm,
so it was a very interesting time because it was very new already. Like we were still in the newlywed
mm,
phase almost before we found out we were like, oh gosh, you know, a year of newlyweds, and then it
yeah.
was like a few months, and then, oh, we're gonna be parents.
Mm,
And so there was a lot of transition and acceptance and, you know, like surprise and
yeah.
a lot of adaptation. So we finally, um, yeah, went into the hospital, delivered what we thought was a healthy baby girl. They told us to go home, love her, enjoy.
Mm,
And at 1 month old, we knew something wasn't quite right. And her right arm was kind of coming up like a chicken wing.
mm,
And I had volunteered at my local elementary school when I was in high school with severely handicapped kids. And I
mhm,
knew stiff contractures could be a sign of cerebral palsy.
mhm,
But I also knew that my daughter's eyes were tracking with me and she seemed really bright and like mentally
mm,
with it, like even at a month
mhm.
old, actually quite
Yeah.
shocking. And yeah, at our 1 month checkup, the pediatrician was like, yeah, it's a little weird. We can do some testing. And then at 2 months, we got the diagnosis of spinal muscular atrophy, where it's very similar to Lou Gehrig's disease or ALS, where muscles
Mhm.
degenerate and there's no cure. And so
Yeah.
we were told there's not much we could do, and that she would likely not see her first birthday. And so that was another big transition, right? Because we were brand new
Yeah.
parents and we were preparing
Yeah.
for parenthood. Like, oh, we're probably not even going to use that jumper swing that we got for our shower. And, you
Mhm.
know, like, like what are we
Yeah.
like what do we have to buy instead of toys and fun stuff? We're like preparing for burial and funeral plots. And, it was like a very harsh transition. And because we were so young, we were the first of all of our friends to have a baby, and we were certainly
Yeah.
the first of all of our friends to lose a child.
Of course.
And so that was really tough. Yeah.
Wow. It is, I can't even imagine because there's like, as you said, everything was just so fast, and I know that my husband and I, we met 5 months later, he proposed 5 months later, we got married, and then very similar to you, less than 2 years later, we had our firstborn. But the thing is, our situation was vastly different and polar opposite, because we were the older parents. Like we
Right.
met when we were 32, got married at 33. So we knew who we were, where we stood, where we wanted to go. We knew we wanted to have kids, and we knew if we want to have kids, we probably don't want to wait for too long because I don't want to be like, I was 35 and 37 when I had
Ah,
my sons, and luckily everything went really healthy and happy there. So very, very different story. And when you come back to you're young and then you have this diagnosis, and then um, here's one thing I just want to throw that on the table if that's okay with you, because this is to
yeah.
me, because I'm so big on language in the space of grief. I'm always on the how do we actually talk about death and dying and grief, so it is nurturing and healing, and we create a space where people can heal and talk about it rather than coming in with debilitating and this will last forever and this is heavy and this is, and
Yeah.
the worst of all that I've heard, and I want to talk about this if that's okay with you, because this is so confronting. The worst of all that I heard in this space is, oh, you're young, you can try again. And I'm like,
Absolutely.
like,
Yes.
hello, we're talking about a life here, This is not, oh, I lost in bingo, let's get another card. This is,
Yeah.
there's so much that happens in that space. And I'd love for you to share a little bit more about this experience going through from the diagnosis to your daughter's passing, and then this beautiful foundation that you came up with to help others through that. This is like, feels like an entire life story itself, and you did that in the space of how many years?
Like 15. Yeah. So I fully agree. And we actually had a woman to my face say, oh, well, at least you still have your husband, so you can have more kids. And I looked at her square in the eye and I said, actually, you're wrong, because her condition's genetic. So not only am I losing her, but I am losing the hope of a future family. Like, we're not going to
That's
take
huge.
that risk of putting our marriage through it, putting our family through it,
Yeah.
putting another baby through it. Like, it
Yeah.
was awful. It was torture, right? Like, when your body's wasting away, but your mind is fully present,
Mm.
and, like, she's developing, she's trying to figure out what's going on. Like, it was
Yeah.
awful. So backing up to the diagnosis, even at the pediatrician's office, when we first got diagnosed, I had a flashback just now of, the pediatrician told us, like, I was there by myself with my daughter, and
Mm.
the pediatrician was like, hey, this is for sure what she has, and take the time you need. You can sit in my office and cry however long you need to. He was amazing. Like, love that
Mm.
man so
Oh my
much.
God. Yeah.
And so I literally had cried and cried and cried. And, Skylar's in the car seat just looking at me like, okay, mom, like, are we going home? And she's 2 months old at the time.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, I got to get home at some point. Right. And so I make my way to the front desk. It was obvious that I was crying. I had to pay my bill. And uh, and so the lady behind the desk goes, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I don't really know how to answer that, because I've just been told my daughter's dying." Like, I was just very honest. Like, I
Yeah.
genuinely don't know how to answer that.
Yeah.
And she looked over the counter, and I had my daughter in the car seat on the ground, and she goes, "Oh, well, she looks okay."
Oh
I
God.
was like,
Oh my God.
"Lady,
I
give me
just,
my check. Here's my
yeah.
credit card. I want to punch you in the face." Like,
Yeah.
anyway, there there's a lot of self-restraint in a grieving
And
mom.
also, some people should not be working
But
in a job like that, right? Like, if they, like,
or
you
just have
would
better
really
training, right?
think
Like,
that
just
somebody
you
in a
can train
doctor's office
people.
would,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's what I'm saying. She's obviously
Yeah.
in the wrong job.
Well, and this
Wow.
is a great point, because we experience trauma in all aspects of our life. Like, trauma is not
Mm.
just isolated for the doctor's office or an ER visit, right? Or our therapist's
Yeah.
office. Like,
Yeah.
when someone gets traumatized, it's the whole interaction, right? And so that was
Hmm.
a moment where, if they had trauma informed training, and I'm a really big advocate for, like, trauma informed everything. Like, I think there should
Yeah.
be trauma informed court systems, trauma informed medical care, trauma
Hmm.
informed school systems, like, all of
Yes.
it, everything should be trauma informed.
Yes. Absolutely.
um,
Mm.
so moving on from the diagnosis, we get home, and my husband and I really, we cried and were just in shock for probably 2 weeks. Like, I could only drink smoothies for nourishment, because
Mm.
I just couldn't even eat anything.
Yeah.
And I was talking to him, and we finally got to the point where we were like, okay, we have to make a choice, and we need to make a choice of how we're going to spend our time with her, because it's going
Mm.
to be really short. And we don't want to waste it, because if we
Yeah.
only have 6 months or 3 months or 2 days, maybe a year, we want to make the most of it and enjoy it and try and live it to the fullest we can, and not be depressed and sad and grieving ahead of time, right? Like,
Yeah.
yes, there's anticipatory grief that we're feeling,
Mm.
but what if we try our hardest to wait until she dies to be sad?
Mm.
And or just be sad on our own, in the shower
Yeah.
or in the bedroom at night,
Without her
like,
feeling
just
it.
not,
Yeah.
in front of her. Right, exactly.
Mm.
And so and so that's what we did. And we were like, let's really make the most of it. And then, we can fall off the wagon, after she dies and
That's
figure
incredible,
out the
Ashley.
grief
I
and the
think,
depression then.
yeah, this is so beautiful, like to
Yeah.
compartmentalize your grief, to be able to just hold space and be present with her. Is incredible. What a gift. What a gift for her. She's chosen well.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And so one of the yeah, we really did try. We watched even at 3 months old, I put on like Baby Einstein,
Mhm.
and she just looked over at me like, "Really, mom? Like you're gonna give me this?" And I was like, "Oh, are you ready for something else?" And like by 4 months old, she was watching full Netflix, or not
Mhm.
Netflix, like Disney and
Mhm.
Pixar movies. I was like, I
Yeah.
know there's an X in there somewhere, Pixar.
Yeah.
And like 6 months old, Finding Nemo,
Mhm.
engaged through the whole thing.
Mhm.
Uh, at 6 to 7 months, she would even anticipatory laugh. So
Uh-huh.
like when Dory and Marlin get shot
Yeah.
out and they're in the big open blue, and
Yeah.
there's like the open vast and the whales coming, she would
Mhm.
start to giggle. And I was like, "Do you know what's coming?" Like, and she
Yeah.
loved it when Dory would speak whale. She would laugh through the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Wow, you are such a smart little kid. Like, that's
Mm.
crazy." So that was really fun. And, we took her to the Georgia Aquarium because it's amazing and fun. And
Mhm.
clearly she liked Finding Nemo. So we tried to
Yeah.
do things where we could.
Yeah.
The hard part was she was immune compromised. And so we had lived in a bubble long before COVID happened,
Mm.
because her immune system was so compromised that any sniffle, cold could be the end of her. So
Mm.
we were really big on hand sanitizer and wiping things down and all of that, back in
Yeah.
2009, 2010.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so we're kind of preparing. You could tell she was really struggling at like 9 months old.
Mm.
And we had called the doctors, and every doctor in Atlanta, which has a really, for those who don't know, who might be in another country, Atlanta has a really strong medical system. We have
Mm.
Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, which is a big hospital system for children's. We have Emory Healthcare, we have Piedmont, we have Northside, we have St. Joseph's. We had so many hospital systems in Atlanta. There's a strong
Mm.
medical community. And almost everyone there said, this is it. Like, it's time to call in hospice. So at
Mm.
10 months old, we called in hospice, and we were like, okay, they said we probably wouldn't see her first birthday. And so here we are. I'm a really big believer in organ donation. And
Mm.
so I had called a number to see if we could donate her organs or anything.
Mhm.
And they said that because of her condition, it was likely that they wouldn't be able to take anything. And
Mm.
I was really devastated because I was like,
Yeah.
man, if I have to lose my
Yeah.
daughter and
Yeah.
say goodbye, at
I
least I
fully
would
understand.
help another family not say goodbye, if
Yeah.
I can. And because they wouldn't accept any organs, or tissues or anything, I called a researcher who had dedicated her career to SMA. And I
Mm.
said, hey, would you need anything from her body for your research? Because if we can't directly help a child, maybe we can help thousands of children
Yeah.
if you can come up with a cure, or, a better treatment or something. And so she was obviously very moved and grateful, but she was like, well, tell me where you are, what your settings are, and stuff like that. And she goes, your pulmonologist in Atlanta sucks. She was like, I want to take over your care. And this was before telehealth was a thing. She
Wow.
was
Yeah.
like, if you'll let me, I'll take care of her from here. And we have more time. And I was like, if you're telling
Wow.
me there's more time,
Yes.
I would love
Take
it,
it.
right? Like, that's the best gift
Yeah.
any mom could,
Yeah.
could get. And so we went from hospice at 10 months old to doubling her life. And so we didn't call hospice back in until she was 19 months old.
Mm.
And so it was a
Wow.
really, really beautiful gift, because any
Huge gift.
person who's had the opportunity to parent during those years, it's a big growth and personality change. And so
Mhm.
I was very, very grateful to be able to witness that and just get to know her a little bit longer and a little bit deeper before she died. And so she did die at 21 months, right before her 21-month
Mm.
birthday. And and that was a a grief. You can never prepare for the loss of a child, but you have an idea that it's going to rip you to pieces.
Yeah.
And I I still underestimated it. And
Mm.
it was one of those moments where I didn't even want to get out of bed. And I hoped that I would suffocate in my pillow just to get through the pain, right? And what was interesting was in those raw moments of grief, you know, even the first couple days, I would look at the photos that we had. A friend of ours had gifted us a professional portrait session.
Mm.
And and so we had photos of us with Skylar and Skylar by herself and just had these beautiful photos. And the first 2 days after she died, they were so painful to look at because like my brain couldn't reconcile that she was gone. And so seeing
Yeah.
the photos and seeing her rosy cheeks and her big blue eyes, I was like, I can't even handle it. Right. So I had to turn them all face down.
Mm.
But after a week or two, that desire to see her again, you know, and just having this empty house. My husband had to go back to work because our bereavement policy sucks in America.
Yeah.
And
Here
he
as
goes
well.
to work. I'm
Same.
in the house by myself. Yeah. And I'm like, my job was a full-time mom and caregiver.
Mm.
So now I don't even have a job. I'm just sitting in this house by myself, like rotting. You know, it was like,
It's huge
what do I
emptiness.
do other than just be depressed? Yeah.
Yeah.
Huge void. And and so after, like I said, a week or two, I just missed her so much and I longed to see her. And that longing overpowered the pain of seeing the photos. And so one by one, I started turning them back up. And it was like, oh, there are her blue eyes. There's that little peach fuzz head. There's, you know, it's like, okay. And
Mm.
then every morning I would walk into her nursery, which was now empty. But when she was there, I would say, good morning, sweet girl. And that's how I would greet her every morning. And so I
Mm.
would still be able to look at the photo and I would still say that to the picture.
Yeah.
And some days I would sit with the photos and I would ugly cry. Some days I would just sit and talk to her. Some days I would, um, you know, really just sit with my feelings and go through the whole range of mourning and crying and heaving and sadness and
Mm.
just like shock and all the things. And what I realized was that the photos gave me a way to hold her when she wasn't here to hold. And they gave
Yeah.
me a way to sit in a really safe space and let myself feel everything
Mm.
without fear of what other people might think, or is this person going to judge me for the sounds I'm making or the snot coming out of my nose or, you know, any of that.
Yeah.
And I realized that these photos were such a gift and they were
Mm.
also a really, really helpful tool in the grief and not just in the raw grief, but as my grief evolved, the photos were the tool that evolved with my grief. And so in the start, they were a way to hold her when she wasn't here to hold, which is still true today.
Mm.
But instead of being like, uh, instead of being like a catalyst for my tears, they're much more a source of love and joy now.
Mm.
And as I've started to kind of transform my relationship, what I believe grief is this reckoning and reimagining of what love is. Because love doesn't just happen in the physical form. And so
Yeah.
now Skylar's gone, but she's not gone. Like she's still energetically here and her soul exists, I believe, somewhere. I don't exactly know if it's in the heavens or here, just that
Mm.
I can't see or wherever, but I do still feel her and I do get signs from her.
I
And it's
love
so
that.
powerful. Yeah, it's like it's this beautiful transition of okay, this pain is because of loss, but loss is a natural part of life. grief is just the view of love through the lens of loss. And healing is returning to love, right? And so it's like, how do we return to wholeness in ourselves and experience that love again? And so it took a minute for my brain to make sense of her not being in the nursery where she
Yeah.
was, or that she's physically here and I can lay eyes on her. The
Mm-hmm.
photos kind of helped bridge that gap until my brain could fully process.
Yeah.
And and then it's like, oh, we can continue the bonds through these photographs and also experience the magical transformation of our relationship into a spiritual, energetic one, not just a physical one.
This is incredible. And the way you described healing is just so beautiful and so powerful. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. What I love about this is that Skylar is the sole reason for you to found the Momento Foundation. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, so I started the Memento Foundation a few years after Skylar died because there's a person in my church who, different church than the one that Kyle and I met at, but a church in Midtown Atlanta whose husband was facing a stage 4 melanoma diagnosis. And it was a skin cancer right on his face. And I I offered to photograph her family for free, and she took me up on it and was like, yes, that's amazing. So I was like, maybe photos will help them. And this is a gift I can give them because I'm a photographer and I would love to pay this forward. And so she was very grateful. I photographed them many times, like probably 4 times total. So she had 2 young kids with her husband, Kevin. It was Kevin and Rachel were the mom and dad. And 2 young kids, probably like 2 and 3 when I met them. And I think they were more like 4 and 5 when Kevin died. And I gave them a photo book of the highlights of the sessions that we had done together. And a few months later, after I'd given it to him, Rachel called me and said, hey, I'd really like to thank you for that photo book now that we've had some time to sit with it and be with it. And I just want to tell you what it means to our family. And I'm thinking, like, I gave the photos to her thinking, oh my gosh, she's a new, like, single mom. She's a widow. She's by herself. She's used to having all this support. Like, she's got 2 young kids. Like, this is going to be so much for her. So hopefully these photos can help her.
Yeah.
And she called and said, anytime someone new comes to the house, my daughter Evie will take them by the hand, walk them into the living room, and sit them down on our sofa and open the book to introduce whoever is here to her daddy.
That's so beautiful. I love
and
that.
My mind just exploded. My heart exploded. My mind exploded because I had not even considered how kids could use the photographs. And I was like, wow, like kids can totally use this for connecting bonds as well. And like make their brain making sense of like where they are and they're still my dad. And like, it was so beautiful. And I was like, oh my God, like everyone needs to have photographs. Like this is a must. And why is no one doing it? You know? And so I started volunteering more and more. And then my husband lovingly came to me and said, I love your giving heart. It's part of why I married you, but we're going to go bankrupt if you keep giving it all away. And I was like, I hear you, but I'm not charging these families a penny because I mean, Kyle had a good job and decent health insurance and we still struggled financially. So I was like, I have to give this away. Like it's a non-negotiable, but I can find a way to do it. And so that's what led me to start the nonprofit because I really believe that if I was willing to give it all away, that I could invite others to help me give it all away. And it's been a beautiful journey.
That's so incredible. I'm so in awe of what you've created with Skylar together, if I may say so. This is such a gift that you're giving to so many families out there. And we've only got a couple of minutes left. And sorry for the coughing. I'm like, oh my God, don't keep it together, Marie. I tried to get the last sentence out. So before we go, I want to dissolve this cliffhanger that we started with at the beginning. So you founded this foundation in what year? Did you literally, was that a transition straight?
Yeah,
2015?
2015. Mhm.
Wow, beautiful. And now 11 years later, you're handing it over to a new executive
Yeah.
director. And what is the
Yes.
focus that you're gonna put your skills into?
Yes. So I wrote a book and it just launched in March of this year, 2026.
Amazing.
And it's called When You See the Light. And it
And you
is a
just broke up
trauma-informed guide to
when you
surviving.
said the
Yes.
title. You literally just broke up. Please come again.
Oh, thank you. Yes. It's When You See the Light, and it's a trauma-informed to surviving significance.
Beautiful.
So
I
it's
love it.
truly me taking everything that I've learned over the last 15, 20 years of walking through this myself and helping hundreds of families go through this,
Mm.
learning so much and having so much wisdom to share with people. Like, I put everything in this book, like my heart, my brain, my whole somatic experience, like everything is in this book for a comprehensive guide, so that it's really me saying, like, if Marie, if you had gone through something recent, it's literally me
Mm.
saying, oh my gosh, Marie, I am so, so sorry for the pain that you feel in your heart right now. And I am here for you. And I will
Mm.
walk you through this day by day. And
Mhm.
every day we're going to touch on another topic, and it's going to be short and
Yeah.
digestible, because grief brain is real and we only have
Mm.
so much processing power in grief.
Yeah.
And there's artwork throughout, watercolor artwork throughout, that I did along
Beautiful.
with two,
Oh, I love it.
four other artists. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so that helps break it up and gives you space to process and
Yeah.
just add color, because why does it have to be so boring? You
I
know?
love this. I see so many parallels in the things that we are doing, and I really, really love that because in one of my books, I write about the color orange, and I also talk about it in my podcast,
Mm.
in my TEDx
I
talk,
love
which is, focusing on one thing. So you help your brain to focus on things you want to see rather than you don't want to see, and then replacing it with an emotion. So you bring
that.
color into this book. I love it because it really is such a symbolic thing. The world really does go quite black and white for a while when you go through such a profound loss.
Yep.
So you adding so much color into the lives of so many people going through this black and white stage right now, to this real darkness. There's often not a lot of white in there. There's actually a lot of darkness. So, um, and also, if you didn't get the title of the book, we will be posting the link where you can order it in the comments below. So please do come back once this live interview is finished, because that's when I put your bio, your links everywhere where you can connect with Ashley and reach out to her if you have any questions, if you want to work with her. Ashley, you are going into
Mhm.
speaking and coaching now. So
Yeah.
you'll be available to spread your love, spread your wisdom, spread your healing, which I think is so profound and so needed. And what I love about this the most is that it's really Scala shining through everything that you do. And for you to have walked this path and now take others by the hand, I always say lived experience cannot be learned. And this is really something that gives it profound essence in the work that you do. So I can't thank you enough for being here. I really love that you shared your story so raw and openly with all of us. If you would want to leave our audience with just one thing, if you like, if you only take this away, just remember that whatever, I'm going to let you wrap this up with a nice little takeaway for today.
Yeah. I think the best advice I can give is to release your expectations, because whether you're the one grieving or you're going to support someone in grief, oftentimes our past experiences shape our present expectations and our
Mm,
future expectations.
yeah,
And sometimes we hold ourselves to an unreal expectation, or we hold others to an unrealistic expectation. And so
yeah.
the other piece of that is there's a lot of misinformation going around about grief right now, right? And for the past 20 years, right? Of
Yes.
the 5 stages of grief. Yeah, the
Yes,
5 stages
thank
of grief
you.
were
I
meant to
always
be
talk about
faking
that.
their own death, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Grief doesn't have a timeline. Grief
Mm,
doesn't exist in a linear fashion. And so that's the other piece, is people have these expectations, but they're based on fake information, right? And so if we can, or just misapplied information, right? Because the 5 stages of grief were actually the 5 stages for death and dying. So if you are facing a terminal diagnosis,
terminally ill people,
right.
And you know what I find interesting about that is that Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who wrote the 5 stages of grief, she was, you know, an absolute phenomenon in the space of terminal illness, and that's where she wrote the book. And she herself actually said that she's been misinterpreted all her life. So I love that you bring that up, because I talk about that in every second podcast. Because of, how did you go with the 5 stages? I'm like, oh, they don't apply. You know, they don't apply. It's
So we hold ourselves these expectations that are either misinformed or misinformed from our own or other information. And so just being present with yourself, like, what am I feeling in this moment? What is this other person feeling in this moment? And how can we meet this moment with love and courage? Because that is the biggest way to promote healing, is love and courage together. Fear often takes the driver's seat, because we're like, I'm afraid of saying the wrong thing, or doing the wrong thing, or making this person cry, or bringing up painful things. And if we let fear drive our words and our actions, like, nothing good comes from that. So really just showing up with love and courage, releasing expectation, and trying to be as present as possible.
That's it. I love it. That is such a beautiful wrap.
And on that note, too, I'll add, I am also a presence-based coach. And so that's a part of my work, is keeping people in the present and really listening to our bodies, because our bodies are an active participant in this life with us. And sometimes we dismiss them unintentionally, but sometimes we're like, we're just in our head, because that's where we get rewarded.
Actually, I love what you share. I love the work that you do. I think anybody working with you would be so lucky to have you as their coach. So again, we'll be leaving the details how you can connect with Ashley in the comments below. And if you like what you hear here, just feel free to subscribe and follow us, so you can be updated with weekly episodes of Unsilenced Grief. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your story. This is Ashley and Marie signing off.